This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so who else are on the call? So I think there are a few members who have joined today itself.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sindhu. I'm also there.
Hi sir, Narendra. I'm here.
Okay, fine. I can see Yashoda and Narendra.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
I can hear
I
you,
am
Narendra.
Ashura.
Yep. So, okay, fine. Yep. So, second row.
Light box ಏನೋ ತೆಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಅಷ್ಟೇ.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sindhu. I'm also there.
I am Ashura, I am also there.
Yep. Thank you. So we'll just. I think someone else has arrived. Okay, fine. Actually, we had a class yesterday, so there are a few already joined, and uh, that was a session on brief on SAP Security. What is a overview of SAP Security? So I have given the overview of that. So I believe you
Hello.
guys are. Yeah.
Hello sir. I am Narendra.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Narendra. Yeah. So,
Sir, yesterday class briefly explained.
yes. Yes. Yeah. Sure. I'll just go through a brief on yesterday's class as well. So I think you guys are here to uh, attend an interview which is gonna happen on this Saturday, right? On SAP Security.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I'd be just giving a brief on what is actually necessary for that particular interview. Okay, so I'll just go through what actually happened in yesterday's class. I'll just try to repeat the same. If someone has joined from yesterday's class, this might be a complete repetitive session, and there will be few more things if I can add up to yesterday's session. Okay, so
Okay. Okay.
yep. So first of all, I just want to understand. So this session, I will not be sharing anything like a document and all, nothing, no PPT, nothing. So this will be more of an interactive session. So I want you guys to talk. I want to understand what you are up to and how much you are aware on security or SAP. So to start with, so what do you guys understand by security? So any one of you.
Sir, security means any information outside which will not going from the security.
Yep. So
Hello.
that's basically. I think, can you guys go on mute? And if you want to just talk, you can just unmute and talk. So if you guys want to share something or talk something, you can just unmute and talk. So remaining all the time, you can just mute yourself. Okay.
Yeah, Trilok,
So
this is Rohit. I just joined the call.
yeah,
I
hi, Vamsi.
couldn't see. Yeah, I'm not able to see your screen.
Yeah, okay, I'm not at sharing anything yet. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay, okay.
we have few folks have joined today itself. So I just wanna brief them what we have discussed yesterday. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this would be more of a repetitive thing for
Okay,
you maybe. So maybe if
yeah,
you want to join, you can just continue, or you can just uh, join after some time maybe. Okay. So most of it I'll be pretty much covering the similar thing which we have discussed yesterday. Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Fine. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So yep. So I just want to understand from you guys, what do you guys know about security? So that I can just give you a brief on. Okay, so I think Narendra, someone has told a definition. So is there anyone else who are aware of security? What do you understand by security, basically?
I have no idea to tell the about the security.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine, no problem. So I'll just try to make you understand on what is exactly the security is in general terms. Okay,
Okay.
in general terms, what do you when do you call yourself, or for example, you take your in your office or your in your house, how do you say that, okay, I am in a secured place? So how do you say that? How can you say that you are in a secured place
Um,
if it is
okay,
protected?
providing. Yeah. When it's
If it is
protected, it's
protected. Okay, so if it, I think someone is speaking, and guys, please get on to the mute because this would be disturbing for others. So if you guys want to talk anything, you can just unmute and talk. Okay, so when you guys say yourself is protected, the first question is when you say you are in a secured place. So when you are protected, so how can you protect yourself? For example, if you are in a house, how can you protect yourself? So house will be
Doors.
having a door and it will be locked, so that's how you are protecting yourself. Okay, so means security is nothing but you are protecting from an unauthorized person or unauthorized some particular thing which can enter into your house, so you are protecting yourself from that. Okay, so having a door will protect you there. In the same way, if you understand, taking another example. Okay, so in your college uh, or in your, if you are working in your office, so how the campus is protected?
Yeah.
How can you say that your college is secure? Yeah, I think someone is sharing the screen. You can just close it. Uh, so yep. So continue the topic. So we are on security. So what exactly you mean by security is protecting yourself from unauthorized person. So this is what exactly the security means. So now we need to discuss on how the security is provided to a software or a application. So someone needs to enter into a software or application, someone has to use it, they need to have an username and password. Okay, so in the same way, you'll be having a lot of applications in your mobile, right? You have many
Yeah.
apps. If you want to enter into any app, so you need to give an username and password. That's how you'll enter into that app. So that's the way it is secured. So if you don't have a username and password, you can't access that app. Okay, So now, for example, now once you are already entered into the application, and then again the next level of security is what to access and what not to access. Okay, for example, you guys have entered into some college campus or something, so you have shown your ID card. Okay, and then you have entered into the campus. Inside the campus again you will be having a restriction. You can't enter into some administrator rooms or some server rooms. So that is again restricted there, right? So again there is a restriction there. So this is the second level of restriction. Guys, please, can you guys just go on mute? If you have any questions, you can just unmute yourself and talk.
Hello. Hello.
Yes. Sorry, can you just I'm getting a lot of disturbance. I'm not sure. So guys, I'm sharing my desktop. I think you guys are able to see it.
Hello.
Guys, I think Yashoda and Narendra, you guys are on unmute. Can you just mute yourself, please?
Okay, sorry.
So are you guys able to see my screen?
No. Hello.
Yes. Can you see now? I have a notepad
No.
open.
Yeah.
So guys, I was just talking on security. Okay, so security is nothing but protecting something from your data from unauthorized person. So it can be anything in your general terms. You're protecting something. So coming to a software or an application, what you are exactly protecting? You might be protecting data. You might be protecting the application itself. So how do you protect that application, or how do you protect that software? So as I have discussed earlier, so we do have an username and password. So username and password will help you to protect someone to enter into that or access that application. So having that username and password is called as authentication.
Okay.
Okay, so having that username and password is called as authentication. So once you have that username and password, as I said, for example, authentication example in general terms. So once you are entering into your college premises, you need to display your ID card and you have to enter, right? So there
Yeah.
you are showing your ID card. So that is the authentication there. So in software, you are entering username password. That is a authentication. That means in both the places, you are actually proving your identity. Okay,
Okay.
so once you have proven your identity, then you will enter into the system. Means you have entered the username and password. Now you enter into the system. In the same way, you guys show your display your ID card and you are enter into the campus. So once you enter into the system or campus, there, if you are entering into the campus, there you are restricted again to enter into few places. You are allowed to go to some places. You are not allowed to go to some places. That means there you are authorized to go to some place, you are not authorized to go to another place. That's called as authorization. That is the second level check. So the first level check is authentication and the second level check is authorization.
Authorization.
Okay, in the same way, when you have if you are applying the same thing to a software or an application, so once you enter into the software giving username and password, you might do some activity and you might not do some activity. Okay, so what exactly you need to do, that depends on the authorization you have got. Okay, so what has to be, who has to do what? So who has to do what is a authorization. Okay, is this clear?
Okay, clear.
Now we are getting into we'll try to understand what is SAP. Okay, so till now we have tried to understand what is security. Now we'll try to understand what is SAP. So SAP is a leading ERP software in market. Now to understand this, we need to understand what is a ERP software. Okay, so ERP is nothing but enterprise resource planning. Now what is enterprise resource planning? Okay, so to understand this, we need to just have a basic idea on the business, because ERP goes by the definition that is a software which integrates all the business modules. Okay, so now to understand this definition, we need to understand what is the business module. Okay, so now I'll try to explain a small business model so that you guys can understand what is a business model, so that you can understand what is a ERP software. So I'll take a very simple example. Okay, so there is a customer who is actually ordering something. So like you'll be going into a Flipkart, right? So you'll be going into a Flipkart, or you'll be going into Amazon, or you'll order something, right? In the same way, there you are a customer. Okay, you will try to order something. So once you have ordered something, so that order will be received by a vendor. So vendor is nothing but who is the supplier. Okay, so once a vendor receives that order, now vendor will, for example, you guys have ordered some 10 pieces of, you need some clothes or something. Okay, so now vendor will receive that order, and vendor will immediately check in his stock, okay, whether he has the required amount which you have asked for. So he will just check in his inventory. Inventory is nothing but a stock. Okay, so vendor will check in inventory. So what does if inventory, the stock doesn't have the required amount of uh, required amount which a customer have asked for. So for example, he has asked for 10 and your stock has only 5. So other 5 you need to again get from another vendor, or you need to manufacture yourself. For example, this vendor has his own manufacturing unit. He manufactures cloths by himself. So there will be a manufacturing unit, that is also called as a plant. Plant is nothing but a manufacturing unit. Okay, now what happens, the remaining stock, for example, he have already 5 in his inventory, he needs another 5, so he sends a message to plant where the manufacturing happens, so they manufacturing remaining 5, and that would be sent to the inventory, and inventory to the vendor, and vendor will supply it to the customer, and then customer will do the payment for that, and vendor will send the bill for the transaction. Bill is nothing but the invoice. Okay, this is a very simple a business model. Okay, so now to run this particular business, I would require a software. Okay, now I'll call here each part as a business module. Okay, so now I need a software where it has all the business modules. That means that software will be used by customer, the same software should be used by vendor, the same software should be used by inventory team to check the stock, and also the same software should be used by the manufacturing unit as well. That means I don't need, what if there is a different softwares for each one. So that would be a complex scenario to think of. Okay, so then I will not be able to, that that would be a tough situation or a difficult situation. So if you're each member is using a different software, means there needs to be a link created between each application then. So instead of that, what if we have a software where these all are already linked. Okay, that means there is a software in the market, so where all these particular teams can use the same software, and it has already linked, so there is nothing to do from our side. So that kind of software is called as a ERP software. So that's the reason the definition goes by. So ERP is a software which integrates all the business modules. So when I say business modules, there are many. For example, here plant, manufacturing plant. Okay, so manufacturing unit, so this is one business module. So there is the same thing which we call as PP, business module, means production plant. Okay, So in the same way, here we call as IM or MM. That is nothing but inventory management or material management. The customers and vendors are dealt by sales module. Okay, and the payments and all is dealt by finance module. In this way, we have different modules in this ERP. As SAP is also an ERP software, SAP is also having a different business modules. Okay, for example, SD, as I've discussed, SD is nothing but sales and distribution. Okay, and then material management, and then finance, and then controlling, and then so SAP has business modules. So there are different business modules. So as I said, SD, MM, finance, controlling, HR, so PP, production planning. So all these are different modules in SAP. So now SAP is a software which integrates all these business modules. Okay, so along with that business modules, there are few technical modules as well in SAP. Okay, so technical modules are ABAP. So ABAP is a technical module. So ABAP is nothing but it's a programming language for SAP. So
Okay, Tamal. Hello.
ABAP is nothing but a programming language. It goes by Advanced Business Application Programming.
Hello.
Okay, so and we have Basis. So Basis is a module which is helpful for all the upgrades and installations. And the other module in technical is security. So security will be taking care of authentication and authorization. Okay, is this clear? So now getting into the next topic. So till now what we have discussed is what is security. So what is authentication and authorization. So what is a ERP software and what are the different modules in SAP. Now we'll try to understand what is an architecture of this SAP software. So every software will have its own architecture. Okay, architecture is nothing but design. Okay, so how does it work? So what is the design of this software? So to explain this, I'll just try to take a simple example of any application or any software which you are already using. Okay, in your mobile or somewhere. So for example, you guys are using a Gmail. So everyone here would be using a Gmail, right? So or any other app. Okay, so now for example, let's take not even Gmail, let's take an example, simple example of a Google page. So once you enter google.com, you'll get immediately a Google page, right? So how does that happen? So what exactly happens in the back end when you enter a Google and Google page displays? What exactly happens? Okay, so let me just explain what exactly happens on that. So when you just enter a google.com, okay, so now there will be a request sent to the server. Okay, that immediately will be connected to the Google server. So Google server will have a program written already. So if any a google.com is entered, so please display this page in. So there will be a program written in the Google server. So immediately when you enter google.com, that would be sent to the server as a request, and now server will be responding to that. Okay, server will be responding with a page, Google page. Okay, here there is only one step. That means you are sending a request and you are getting a response. Okay, now we have something in the first layer. We have like the front end. We have a front end. Okay, the front end is nothing but where your desktop. Front end is nothing but your desktop, and then the front end is being connected to the server. The server is being connected with the help of internet, and that's it. Server will be sending the response. That's it's one transaction, so that is completed. So what if, for example, let's take another example now. We'll take a Gmail as an example. Okay, now you have entered as a Gmail, and you are giving now your username and password, Gmail ID and password. What should happen? In the same way, now if password is correct, you need to enter it into your account. If password is wrong, it should say it's an error. So now what exactly happens in the background? It's almost the similar thing. It will go to the server, Google server, and now it will, where it has to check whether this user and password are there or not in the server. So again, the server will have its own database. Okay, so in the database, your user ID and password would be stored. Okay, in Google database. So now what happens when you give a username and password here in a Gmail, it will go to server, and server a program will be executed. What does that program say? So the program will say go to the database and check whether this user and password are valid or not. If valid, enter into the Gmail account. So now the in this example, server is again connected to a database. In the same way, SAP also works. So SAP has its own front end. That means, so we call here as presentation layer. Front end is nothing but a presentation layer. Okay, so this presentation layer is nothing but the software which you have installed. For example, in this Gmail is a software where you are using Gmail in your desktop. So in the same way, you need to have a SAP installed in your desktop. You need to use that. So front end or presentation layer is nothing but the SAP software. The SAP software here is called as SAP GUI. GUI is nothing but graphical user interface. So as the name says, it's an interface between you and the software. It's connecting you and software. Okay, and then it is connected to the server. In the same way, Google has its own server, right? So SAP has its own server. So if you are buying SAP, so if you want to use this software, you need to connect this software to a server. So this particular layer is called application layer. So application layer is the place where we have the server. Server is nothing but where we have all the programs and where we have all the code being executed. And now that would be connected to a database. Database will have all the tables. It has all the data stored in the form of tables. Okay, so is this architecture clear? So now you guys, when you guys have an interview on this Saturday, so what kind of questions can you expect? So these are very basic things on SAP. So you guys can expect the questions like this. Okay, the first question, like, so what is authentication and authorization? This can be a very basic question. Okay, what do you know about security? And what do you understand by a ERP software? Okay, so and how the ERP software is different from other softwares? Okay, so what is SAP? So what are the different modules in SAP? Okay, so what is the importance of each module? And then what is the architecture of SAP? So now to discuss more on this architecture, so this architecture is called as three-tier architecture because it has three layers: presentation layer, application layer, and database layer. So it is simply called as R3 architecture as well, where R stands for real time. Okay, so to go back to the history of this, it used to be R1, okay, and then R2, and now it is R3. Okay, so in interview, you guys would be concentrating on this particular R3 itself. Okay, you need to understand what is the presentation layer, how does it help. So you need to understand what is the application layer, what is the importance of it, what is the database layer, what is the importance of this. So are you guys clear with this? So do you guys have any questions or?
No.
Okay, so now moving on. Now we'll try to discuss more on SAP history as well. So okay, so SAP is basically a German software. Okay, so this was initially started by five scientists who used to work in IBM. Okay, so it was almost in 1972. These five scientists have started working on this, and in 1992 they have come up with the SAP software into the market. So 1992 is the first time so when SAP was available in the market. So 1992 is the time where we got the R3 architecture. Before that it used to be R1 and R2. Okay, so this is just very brief, so I don't think so you guys will be asked anything about history of SAP in your interview. So you guys need to just remember that. So it's a German software and there were five scientists who have started this. Okay, you just need to understand that part, so that should be sufficient for you guys to face an interview. Okay, so maybe I might be a bit quick as well. So because as you guys have only 3 days of time, so I'm just trying to uh, take it bit fast. Okay, so I'm just trying to explain. I'm not getting into details of each and everything because you guys must be aware of what is what to just face an interview, because this interview will be, they will be expecting the basic stuff. They'll not be getting into the details and all. Okay, so now we'll talk something about role of SAP security. Okay, so before discussing the role of SAP security, so again this would be an another important question, because you need to understand what is the role of SAP security. So you are attending an interview for SAP security consultant, so you need to understand what's your role, what exactly you do. So that you must be very clear with that. So we'll start discussing about that. So to understand that, I just want to make sure that you guys are clear with whatever I have discussed already. Okay, so now getting into what is the role of SAP security. So to discuss this, I need to introduce you guys with a term called transaction codes. Now, what is a transaction code? So what is a transaction code? So you need to understand now. So once you enter into the software, for example, I have discussed a simple business model, right? Where customer will be raising an order and vendor will be receiving it, and he will be checking with the inventory team, and then it goes to the plant for any production. So now here everyone are using the same software, right? They are all using the SAP basically. Now customer will have his own username and password. Okay, nothing but, so authentication. First of all, authentication, username and password. So to simply say that, I can say user maintenance. So user maintenance is taken care by SAP security people. That means authentication is taken care by SAP security people. So customer, vendor, or someone in the inventory team, they also need to get into the system. They need to enter into the systems to see the stock, how much is available. So they also need to have a username and password. And also the production people as well, they also need to get into the system. So once they have done the production, so they have to update it, okay, in the system, that we have produced, the production is completed for this 5 particular items. So they have to update in the system. Okay, so they need to have again access to the software. Okay, so now who will be taking care of providing access to all these people? Security team. So how they will be taking care? So they will be creating their user IDs in the system. Okay, so and they will be setting a password for them, and this username and the password will be shared to the people, and they'll start using that. So that's the first part where SAP security will come into the picture. And the next part, what is it? It is authorization. So what is authorization? Who has to do what in the system? That is called authorization. Now for example, take the customer. So once he enters into the system, so customer should be is customer should able to view the stock? No, he should not have access to view the stock. But the people who are working in inventory and the customer will be using the same software, okay, same application, but customer should have access to only request order. Okay, he should not able to see this what is there in the stock. Okay, so who would be controlling this? Again, security people. You guys will be controlling who has to do what. Okay, so based on his role, what is his role now? Customer role, he is a buyer. Okay, he should have access to buy the things or place an order. Okay, now vendor will be having access to view that order, and then if the stock is not there, he will send a request to inventory to check on the stock. So vendor should not have access to check the stock again. He should have access to display the orders. Inventory team should have access to check the orders. Okay, now this is completely maintained as through roles in SAP. So to simply say, what is the role of SAP security person? So SAP security person will be taking care of user maintenance, along with that role maintenance. So what is user maintenance? Creating users. So what is role maintenance? Role maintenance is nothing but, so you need to restrict them users again. Okay, which he is supposed to access, which he is not supposed to access. That is controlled by creating roles, and that role will be assigned to a user. Okay, so now coming back to SAP transaction code. So now what is a transaction code in SAP? So now to understand transaction code, we'll take an example, same example. We have a customer. Okay, he needs to place an order. Okay, so for that he needs to have a access. Now he got the access. SAP security team has created his ID, user ID, and he has entered into the system. Now after entering into the system, he has to create an order. Now in the SAP system, we have a path, navigation path. Okay, so there is a navigation path. You need to go into this particular, under that, like a tree structure. So you need to just remember all that tree structure to create that order. So that would be a tough task. So because there will be many more things you guys have to do. So to remember each path, that would be a difficult thing. That's the reason SAP has provided a code for, when I say code, it's just a, for example, I'm just taking an example, VA01. This is one code. Okay, so instead of going all that path, you can just enter this code. What happens when you enter this code? This code is for creating order. Now the person who has entered this will get to see a page. Okay, that page will have some form. He can just enter what he wants and submit that form. Then order is being created. So no need to remember that path. He just needs to remember this code, VA01. Okay, so this is one transaction code. Here we call this VA01 as a transaction code. Okay, in the same way, we have for each task in SAP, we have transaction codes already defined. So this is not something which we were creating. So we are buying SAP software means it's already there. This all transaction codes will be there in the system, in the software. So we have nothing to do. That's the advantage of SAP. Okay, so we have nothing to do here. Now we'll try to understand here what exactly happens when you click on VA01. I have told you that there will be a form displayed. Okay, how does that form is getting displayed? Because every transaction code would be linked to a program. That means when you click on VA01 and click on enter, that would trigger a program. That program will be executed and the output of that program would be displayed. That output of that program is nothing but your creation of order form. Okay, so that complete program is written in ABAP language. So if you guys need to understand that program, you need to first have knowledge on ABAP. Then you can understand that program. So if you guys need to change that program, that is the development that is taken care by ABAP people. Okay, that is completely programming. So what is the role of security guy here? So we need to make sure that customer has access to VA01. That means creation of order. Does a people who are there in inventory, he should have access to VA01? No, those guys should not have access to VA01. Okay, so now we'll take another transaction code VA03. This is to display orders. Now vendor will be having access to this particular transaction code. He can display all the orders and see what are the pending orders. Okay, so in this way we are here defining who has to do what with the help of role. When I say role, again, what exactly we are doing? This particular transaction codes, for example, I'll take, these are not, we are call it as in shortcut T code also. For example, VA01 is a T code. This would be assigned to a role. Okay, and this role will be assigned to a user.
T code means?
T code means it's a transaction code, nothing but that's what. So every action, every task in SAP, what you does, SAP has provided a transaction code instead of, so that would be a tedious task for you guys to check. So you want to create an order, so you don't know where to go to create an order in SAP. Okay, so there will be a lot of paths there. Okay, you need to understand which paths. There'll be hundreds of paths, so you'll be confused which path to enter, and in which under that path, so where to go again. So you guys will be confused. That's the reason SAP has given for each task there will be path. Along with that path there will be a code as well. That code itself is called as transaction code. Okay,
Okay.
so okay, now for example, in this example, as I said, the customer has to create one order. To create an order, the transaction code which he has to use is VA01. Okay, so this particular, sorry,
Creative order means
create order means I have just taken that an example. For example, you will place an order in Flipkart, right? Okay, in the same way, SAP also will have a customer. So customer will have to place an order. Okay, if he has to place an order, then he has to get into this transaction code. It's clear?
yeah,
So now this particular transaction code will be assigned to a role, and that role will be assigned to user. Now what happens? User will be able to access only this transaction code. He will not be able to use any other transaction code in SAP. There are hundreds and hundreds of transaction codes in SAP. But as a security consultant, you need to define who has to do what. That's the reason for a customer I have given only this access. Is clear? And one important thing is that transaction code cannot be assigned directly to a user. It has to be assigned to a role, and that role will be assigned to a user. Okay. Is this clear?
So
Okay.
we need to first create the role and then that is assigned to a user.
Yes. So first we need to create a role, and that would be assigned to a user. Yes. So I'll show you guys. So I know that I'm going a bit quick. So if you have any questions, you can just stop me. Okay. So in next 2 days, I'll just try to show you guys the SAP system, and also what is this when I say user maintenance, how user maintenance is done, how role maintenance is done in the system. So that will give you guys a basic idea to face an interview. Okay, so before going that to that level, so I just need to guys to understand this basic stuff. So are you guys clear with all this?
Yeah.
So if you guys are clear, so I'm good. Tomorrow what we'll do is we will try to discuss more on this user maintenance and role maintenance itself. So maybe we will take one day user maintenance and one day role maintenance, how to create users and how to create roles in SAP system. So we will discuss about these two topics in next 2 days. So that would be helpful for you guys to face interview. Okay.
Okay.
Okay guys, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Uh, hello, Trilo, are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we didn't do the documentation yet.
Documentation, I'll share the SAP document itself. Okay,
Yeah, that is
so
all. I
that
asked the member, so he told me to ask you.
okay, fine. I think I have shared with him. Maybe he has missed it. So I'll just share with him again. He will share with you. Okay, because I don't have all your email IDs. He will be having all your email IDs. Okay, that is basically that is a SAP document that is provided by SAP itself. Okay,
Yeah,
so that
yeah. Okay,
document will have a lot of details. But
okay,
for you guys honestly to face this particular interview, what I am telling in this class,
okay.
that should be more than sufficient for you guys to crack this interview.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Fine.
and also I will just try to give you a questions. Okay, so
Okay,
just be prepared for that questions. So
okay,
for
okay,
example, in today's topic, what are the different questions? I'll just give you questions.
okay.
Okay, so you guys try to prepare that questions before you guys go to interview.
Oh,
Okay, tomorrow class we'll see. I'll just show you guys the system and all. In that
okay.
way, you just get familiar with the system. Okay,
Okay.
not just the theoretical part. It's
Yeah.
just
Also
on
the
the
plan.
system part. You can just see it. You might not have time to practice and all. I know that everything. Just 3-4 days we can cover everything. It's a 30 or 40 days course is SAP security. But I'm
Yeah,
just so whatever I have told you guys, this would if I get into details, this itself will take 2 to 3 days.
yeah,
Okay, but I have tried to cover in one day. Just having the thought that you guys need to face an interview next 3 days.
Sir,
yeah.
the SAP business model.
Yeah,
Sir,
business model.
SAP,
Yeah,
SAP SAP in the business models, SDMM. What is the meaning of SDMM, FI, PO, HRPP?
Okay, so SD means sales and
Sales and distribution.
distribution.
Distributed.
Sorry, sir.
Sales and distribution.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Material
MM means
management.
material management.
Material management.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Sir, FI, sir.
FI is for finance.
Alright.
CO
Control.
is for controlling. So
Human
HR is for human resources. So
Human
and then
resource.
PP is for production planning.
What about QM, quality management and all?
So yeah,
So,
we have QM as well. That's what we have, some hundreds of modules in SAP.
okay.
So for you guys at this point, you doesn't need to understand all those 100 modules.
Okay.
So if just you need to just understand, okay, these are the very basic modules available in SAP. At least you guys need to remember these names.
Yeah.
So if you have a question like what are the different business modules in SAP, you need to just able to answer
Sir,
this. Yeah.
Okay.
what is the meaning of CO, sir?
Sorry. CO is
What
controlling.
CO?
CO is controlling.
Controlling.
Yep. So controlling is nothing but it's finance and controlling. These both are like same. So we both call as FICO. FICO. FICO is a module. Okay. Actually, finance and controlling. FICO is one module in SAP. So that would be dealt with all the finance. Okay. So now I'll just share you guys quickly what are the different questions which you can expect from today's class. So what you guys have to do is try to prepare for these questions, and if you have any problem or difficulty to get the answers for these questions, we can discuss in tomorrow's class again.
Sir,
Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Sir, please just send the document, sir.
Yes. I'll share the document. So I'll share the document. So before that, you just need to
Okay.
understand. You just need to understand what is security. You should be able to answer all these
Okay.
questions. Okay. And what is authentication
Okay.
and authorization? You should be able to answer this question. Okay. What is ERP and
Yeah.
how it is different from other software? Okay. So what is SAP? What are different business modules in SAP?
FI,
Modules
CO,
in,
HRPP.
yeah. So all those are
That's
business modules. What are different technical modules in SAP?
yeah. ABAP.
MM,
Advanced
QM,
AP,
Business Application
SD.
ABAP,
Program.
ABAP, ABAP, basis
That.
security. Okay, so what does ABAP do? ABAP is nothing but it's a programming language. What is basis? So basis will be taking care of all the upgrades and installations. Security will be taking care of authentication and authorization. Okay,
What's the meaning of authentication?
next.
Now, what
So
is the meaning of authentication?
what is the
Meaning of authentication?
authentication is nothing but when you enter into the system, you need to give username and password, right? That is called authentication. Okay, so after that, so what is the architecture of SAP?
Three
So
types.
architecture is nothing but this part. You just need to explain about this part. First presentation layer, application layer, and then database layer. It's a 3-tier architecture. So you just need to understand this and explain this.
Front end server and data as table.
Sorry.
Front end
Front end is presentation layer.
presentation application.
Okay, so then what is the role of SAP security? So what is the role of SAP security? It's user maintenance and role maintenance in SAP.
Maintenance and creativity.
Okay, so role
Maintenance
user
and
maintenance.
creativity.
Sorry.
Maintenance and creativity.
Yes, creating users, creating roles. So everything is taken care by SAP security people. So now what is a role and what is a user in detail we'll discuss in next classes.
Okay.
Okay, so for now you guys need to be clear on this particular all these questions.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
if you have any difficulty we can just discuss the same questions again tomorrow also.
Okay, sir.
Okay, after that maybe once you're clear with interview, then we can have a detailed discussion on the complete course. Okay. Okay, fine. You guys just make a note of all these questions.
Okay, sir.
Everyone just make a note of all these questions. So once you note these questions, you can just maybe leave.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
Minutes. Just wait, sir.
Yeah.
వచ్చేసిందా అయిపోయిందా నా రోజు ఫోటో కాదు